Give it up for yourselves. Because here's what I know about coming to this campus. It is not easy. So we appreciate you all putting special effort into parking. Where am I going? What's happening? I work here, so I get it. I get it. And I thank you so much. My name is Tony. You can call me T. You can call me T. Some of you, I know. Some of you I see in the room. I appreciate you. We're going to do something together outside of making sure our phones are not interrupting someone. So I believe in the power of the greeting. And you all have greeted each other today. You said hi, maybe you said a smile. I was recently in Barbados, and just about everybody I walked past said hi. And I thought, oh goodness, this feels so good. So guess what? We're going to do that together right now, okay? Anybody who knows me knows this is my new tradition. So we're gonna say a greeting that says, I see you, because this is what correcting the narrative is all about. It's about seeing each other. So the word is Sawu Bona. It means I see you in South Africa. Practice it. You don't have to get it perfect. Sawu Bona. Sounds so good, and I didn't even count you down yet. Okay. So on the count of 3, I'm gonna count down. We're gonna say it together. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. Every time I do that, it feels so good. So as you all continue to see each other today and beyond, make sure you do that greeting. Make sure you continue to see each other. So, a couple of comments. When Shannon said, yeah, I want you to do the welcoming remarks, I'm like, oh my goodness, this introvert is about to talk to hundreds of people. Why are you doing this to me, Shannon? But okay. I'm the type of person that I like to talk from my heart. I don't have a script. I thought about what I wanted to say briefly, but the first thing that I want to do is honor so many people who were able to make this happen here at the Medical College of Wisconsin. So, that's the only thing that I'm gonna read off of my phone, because I don't want to miss anybody. And I want you all to do something together again after I read this list of people who made this happen, the seats that you're sitting in, the food that's on the table. It took a team of people to make this happen. So I'm gonna read that down, and then I want you all to celebrate, clap, yell, do whatever you need to do for the people in the room and for those who aren't in the room, and I'm gonna bring that love back to them, okay? I want to thank the President's Office for approving us to have this here. It's a big deal. I won't get into the weeds of that, but I want to thank President Raymond. I also want to thank our General Services team, our maintenance team that was up and running, finding us hammers yesterday, running around, trying to make this event the way it should be. Our security team, shout out to them. Dr. Greer Jordan, Mara Lord, our facilities team, our communications team, the Office of Community Engagement, and Mitch, who is representing the media services team here. Can you all please show some love for them? Sorry, Mitch, I put you on the spot. That's Mitch right there. All right, so when you think about the past, present, and possibility, what does that mean to you? To me, it means, do I see the potential in others? Or do I put them in the box? We all have an opportunity to inspire people, because I believe our stories are the most powerful thing that we can possess. And when we use our story to inspire others, then we become powerful. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all feel me on that? Yeah. Our stories are glory. We were able to hear stories from the panel this morning. Shout out to the panel. Who was that? Shout out to the panel. Like, if y'all missed the panel, Todd, I see you. Yes, it was so amazing. And to our amazing artists, this artwork is just mesmerizing. Can we give it up for all our artists here? When I tell you they were here for hours installing this for all of you, but what's the point? As we reflect on the past to learn, we center ourselves in the present, but we invest in the possibility of people. People are the most important thing we can invest in. So as you all continue to see each other, continue to see the possibility, continue to be activated in the work that will help somebody else live a better life. What a beautiful honor we all have to do that. And you all are doing that now, I imagine. And I know you will continue to. So, one commitment today. I asked myself 2 questions. Who do I see? But just as importantly, who don't I see? So I'm making a commitment to see someone who I haven't seen, who I haven't connected with, because it's important to see as many people as we can and to see their potential and to believe in the power of resilience. So with that being said, I would now like to introduce Shannon Ross, Executive Director and founder of the community. Give it up.
How y'all doing? So first, I want to give y'all a second. Wonderful. We'll have y'all back briefly, but I kind of want to have this shown on video. So hate to have y'all move, but they're going to be right back up to play some more music, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Tony, the introvert. I believe in that. So my name is Shannon Ross. I'm the executive director of the organization here. And what are we doing here, right? I guess I'll explain what we're doing here after I thank a number of folks that it wouldn't even be possible for. I don't think many of you have even seen me in the past hour, and that's possible because we have a number of folks who are gratefully helping out. We have a team here at the community now, and I couldn't be more grateful for that because that allows me to at least be able to, breathe a bit while we do something like this, barely breathing. But yeah, so many people are bored. I want to thank our entire staff. I want to thank MCW, as Tony said. I think it's an important connection here with why we're at MCW. As David Carlson has said to me maybe a year or so ago, all reentry work is health work anyways. So this is actually the root of what we're all doing at the end of the day, right? The healthcare system is the preventative way that we can address people going in, people going back in. So it makes complete sense that MCW is a place where we're having an event like this at. And so our organization, what do we do? In the back of the booklets you have, there's a QR code that we will pass around. We don't have one for everybody because we have a QR code digital version. So we'll get that so folks can kind of follow the run of show and kind of read the same booklet. You can read it when you want to leave as well. But the work that we do is pre-entry and correcting the narrative. So our pre-entry work is in the prison system. That's all focused on helping people that are incarcerated become as prepared as possible prior to getting out. Trying to focus on people when they're close to release or after they get out is akin to educating a child when they're 17. You've missed all the key time to actually have a person ready when they come home if you're just focusing on them close to the gate or afterwards. And the other side of our work is our narrative work like this, just trying to get out and promote these stories, the successes, the humanity, and the agency of people that have criminal records. We're seen a certain way in society, and the correcting part, there's a bit of semantics to it, yes, from changing. I know people that have for 4 years living my life, and they'll still say, when you're changing the narrative event, right? Because the mind just right away goes to changing. And so there's a reason why we say correcting, though. It's not just like cutesy. Changing has a connotation of clothing and diets, right? Like you change something one week, you change it again to something else the next week. Changing also has a connotation of changing something for my benefit, not really your benefit, right? I want to change your mind because it benefits me. Correcting is math, right? There's not a bias that's 1 + 1 is 2 anywhere around the world, anywhere in history, any time of day. And just like 1 + 1 is 2, those of us that have criminal records have not been seen and are not seen the way that is reality, right? By ourselves and by society. So we can't just look at society sees us. It's about the way that we see ourselves as well. It's a big part of it. And so we try to talk about empowering storytelling, right? Talking about the way we talk about ourselves and view ourselves daily. And that's a big part of, I think, where the organization and the work has gone to, is focusing on like, how can we view and change things in our daily by storytelling, while we're also focusing on using storytelling to impact the way other people see us. And so tonight, the reason for this is we're highlighting these unrecognized success stories. I think a lot of times in society, I know a lot of times in society that we hold up the telegenic, the charming, the wealthy as success, right? That's not success. That could be success, depending on the person's life, but everyone knows you can have those things and not be successful, not be happy. So folks that are just living a life, have a job, have a family, they're happy, that is success. And we're not trying to hold that up as a version of, that is success. And so the more we can promote those stories, that people are going to more so see themselves in that are outside, that are coming home, that are inside. I think that's to the benefit of all of us, right? To have people having an acceptance of the very real success they have, instead of striving for something that really isn't success. So that's why we have these stories that probably don't get recognized, but they should, because they're wonderful stories. Beyond that, we have a long day today. We've been here since 10 a.m. We were here till, I think, midnight last night getting set up. And the art installation is, it's pretty phenomenal, I think. The artists have put together and some of the symbolism that's in it. If you take some time to read that booklet, there's a lot of symbolism in there and some of the things that were going on. The leaves in the very beginning part when you walk through, those are actual copies of bills that were highlighted in the present section that were part of mass incarceration. We have the roots coming from the red, showing the impact of how it all ties together, going into some of the new growth, the budding of new bills that were passed to kind of get us into a new stage. You have the present section with the projected image that is triggering for some people. Yes, I hope you read the writing before you went in to kind of see, to be prepared for that. But it's talking about that's what it's like to be, in the system, inside, outside. So many people are living like that, with that heaviness, with that sense of like depression and just every day, how are we going to struggle and make it through? And so we're trying to show that's what the reality is. But then it goes to hope, right? It ends with hope, because it always has to, and in real life it does. And so we had a lot of wonderful organizations here just talking about their work as solutions to how we can address the system and move forward. And so here we are at the end of the day for our 4th annual celebration. And as every year, we start out with a crime survivor thriver. Thank you very much, Natalie and Laverne, for highlighting that new term, because I hadn't not aware of that, and now I use that all the time. And so we have that voice always open up our event, because it has always, for me, struck a chord that we talk so much about the impact that people that have caused harm are not getting their just desserts or their due diligence or their fairness. But there's been real harm, right? We cannot ignore that. So 2 things that have to exist at the same time. We can have caused harm, but also be human beings moving forward to create positivity and solutions and peace. And so in order to do that, we have to have that voice of where it started at, I feel at least, the person that was harmed. Because as the story we're going to show is very powerful when we come together. And we can, no better way, address this problem if we're coming together with some of the systems folks. That it makes the systems folks, the judges and the lawyers, easier if we're working together. People that have criminal records, people that cause harm, and people that were harmed are working together. It makes it so much easier on the system to actually do some things. And so the story we have today, the video, friend Adam here probably put this together in his car in the past hour because our speaker this morning was not able to come. A powerful speaker. You'll see who it is, but this morning his wife was sick and he was not able to come, and so we just kind of scrapped together something that we think is still gonna, hit home, and start with that. So if you want to hit play, and thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is David Bruce. I hope you're doing well. I understand that in this facility, a good percentage of you guys are going to be getting out in a few years. I like to get a feel for who I'm talking to. How many of you are getting out, being released in, let's say, 4 years or less? Pretty good, yeah, okay. About half. How many in 2 years or less? Wow. Any short timers, 1 year or less? A few short timers. Wow. Well, good luck to all of you guys when you get out. I hope things go well for you. Just a little by way of introduction. My name is David Bruce, as I said, and I had a son that was murdered.
Good afternoon. First, let me just say it's an honor and a privilege to be heard by you. Some of you know who I am. Some of you I've done time with. Some of you I've been cellmates with, ironically, in this very room. And so it's very surreal for me to be sitting or standing on this side of the podium, knowing that just a few years ago I sat on those very same bleachers.
Adam was talking about his early years in Milwaukee, where, by the way, I'm from as well. And he started hanging with the wrong crowd. So did my son, Robert. He was pretty smart, did well in school up to a point. And I think it was around junior high, I noticed he was starting to get in a little petty trouble with some of the neighborhood kids. Nothing serious, but I could see I didn't like the direction that it was going. So I said, I gotta take control of this. So I enrolled him in the YMCA to take swimming lessons. 2-3 times a week we would go. I just wanted to get him off the streets, get him doing something constructive. He did enjoy that. He got to be a pretty good swimmer. I think we did that for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And at some point, I got worried again about him. He's hanging with a different crowd this time. He's a little older. And I got him enrolled in martial arts. You might recall earlier I said when I was in South Korea in the Army, I enrolled in Taekwondo. I took a year over there. And I thought this would be a good thing for my son. Teach him discipline. And it was. And he got pretty good. We both, I think he got the 1st degree black belt. I tested for 3rd degree black belt 2 months after his shooting. I wasn't gonna, I'll talk a little bit about how that affected me, but one of my reactions, not my immediate reaction, was whoever did this destroyed my son's life, but I damn sure ain't gonna let him destroy my life. I've seen too many parents who lose a child, which is always a tragic, painful thing. They just they give up. My son died, was killed, murdered. He didn't die, he was murdered 1 month before his 19th birthday. My wife and I only had one child, and that was Robert. It hit both of us very hard, but I think women have a closer affinity to their children. I mean, they gave birth to the daughter or son, so it really hits the woman, I think, very hard. After I recovered from the loss of my son, it didn't take long. I had to get over my initial emotional reaction, which was, it was beyond anger, it was rage. I wanted to get my hands on that sucker, or whoever the hell did it. I was almost a 3rd degree black belt. I wanted to crack some ribs and break some kneecaps. I wanted to feel my fist going into that person's face. I mean, that's not like me. That's not normally me, but losing a son suddenly is an extreme circumstance. You never know what you're capable of until the circumstances happen. The night that my son was murdered, I got a phone call. I was at the dojo, just finishing up with a class, and my wife was on the phone. She was hysterical, and she said, so-and-so, one of my son's friends, so-and-so called and Robbie's in the hospital, Milwaukee County General. I said, oh my God. Didn't know what happened. Drove home, picked her up. I think I drove 90 miles an hour on 94 to get to the hospital. When I got there, he had already expired. He was dead. He didn't make it to the hospital. He died en route. One of his friends was shot in the leg, artery was shot, the bullet, but he made it. And man, I was lit up. My wife and I reacted very differently. You know, people react differently to a death, right? You know that, I'm sure. My wife just sobbing uncontrollably. Me, I didn't shed a tear. I was in a rage. I wanted to get vengeance. I wanted to get my hands on whoever did this to my son. So we got to the hospital, talked to the detective, went home very tired, just emotionally drained. I think it was probably close to midnight by that time. My wife fell asleep first. And I'm still in that angry mode, that rage, beyond anger. And I'm laying there in the middle of the night, and I don't know, my conscience or something, a voice came to me. It wasn't that a voice out loud, but I heard it. It said, David, you know better than this. All the things that you've studied, all the things that you've professed, you're betraying your highest beliefs and principles.
I would watch the news that night, and the report would say that 2 people were shot. One person was shot in the leg and survived. One person was shot in the neck and unfortunately did not survive. And so I got that wish to earn that strike. And before I go further, I hope you guys understand what a privilege it is to hear from somebody like Mr. Bruce, who many of us in this room have this sort of individual in our life. And to hear that perspective doesn't happen every day. And I'm humbled to hear what you have to say. And it's difficult as I hear him talk about Robert. Because as I watched that newscast, I didn't know who Robert was. It was just somebody who lost their life because they wore the wrong colored clothes into the wrong neighborhood.
But now I'm going to spin back the story to that night, September 1995. We were hoping that the police detectives would find their guys, and we were fortunate. Within 2 months, the first guy, I think Victor Cruz, a Puerto Rican guy out of Chicago, living in Milwaukee, he was part of the Latin Kings. They got him. Another guy, 15 years old, by the name of Adam Purcell, was arrested, and then the gang leader. So I went to this man's trial, the pre-trial. My wife and I had to endure all that. We went to Victor Cruz's trial, the pre-trial. But we did see some measure of justice. It didn't bring our son back, but we sure felt a heck of a lot better. We felt a lot better. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. That's an Old Testament quote. But whether it happened or not, in other words, whether they found the perpetrators and whether they faced the consequences, I didn't know. We hoped. Yeah, we hoped. Who doesn't, right? We want justice. But justice is different than vengeance. Vengeance is personal. Justice, true justice, is impersonal. It's like the blindfolded lady with the scales, you know? True justice is impersonal. In 1999, I was still living in Milwaukee, working as a sales rep in the electronics industry. And I saw a news clipping, I think it was in the Milwaukee Journal. It was a little clipping about a guy, Adam Purcell, in Boscoville. Is it Boscoville? Supermax prison. I think that was Wisconsin's first Supermax. He was acting out a lot. This is the guy one of the guys that shot my son. And I'm thinking, this knucklehead hasn't learned a damn thing. He's still a troublemaker. He's got a lot to learn. So I let it go. I didn't dwell on it. In 2003, I moved down to Wheaton, Illinois for my job, and as director of education at a nonprofit. I think it was 2007, my mother sent me another news clipping about the same guy, but he had changed. It wasn't the same angry, rebellious young man. By this time, somehow he saw the light. He had changed. I guess he had hit rock bottom, so to speak. You know, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom.
I was doing all of these positive things during the day, but at night, my prayers to who I felt was my creator was begging God to not let me wake up tomorrow. Because the guilt to me was definite. And God answers prayers in weird ways, because I'm coming back from work, I'm working in the training kitchen, I come back, and my name's checked for mail. Best feeling you could ever have, right? Someone took time out of their day to show you that you matter. And I saw the return address letter, and it said David Bruce. And time kind of stopped. Because believe it or not, I wanted this letter to tell me what a piece of trash that I was. I wanted him to tell me that I hope you die in prison. Because that's what my guilt wanted to hear. That's not what his letter said. And his letter humbled me in ways I can't even put into words. Because I remember getting mad at somebody because they stole something out of my cell and they bumped me and didn't say my fault. And here this man is, and he filled out the letter. I couldn't help but picturing the letter of him writing 314949. Knowing he's going to write his son the killer and say, thank you for what you're doing in my son's name. Could you do that? He literally changed my prayers that night. I stopped asking God to take my life. I said, please help me so other kids don't end up and be me, be us. I am truly sorry that David couldn't be here today, that you couldn't see in the flesh a man who changed my prayers. This man has changed my life in ways I can never describe. And one of the most important things in Shannon's existence is to make sure crime thrivers have a voice. Because at the end of the day, he does everything he does to prevent the next David Bruce from being created. That's why he will always begin this program with their voice. So thank you for listening to our voices. There's no easy segue, so we can have the band, DH, and the next level step up. They're going to perform for us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? First, I would like to thank Shannon for this opportunity. Give it up for Shannon Ross. He's been doing such a wonderful job. My band is on the way back, but as they're on their way back, I wanted to share a little bit of why I'm here. DH and the Next Level Band is a band from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but when you see me up here with my bass guitar, it's a form of me celebrating my freedom. I went to Milwaukee High School of the Arts for jazz composition. I never learned how to read music. It's like reading Japanese, man. I don't know what that is. I'm interested in learning, but it's more about the feeling, right? But I dropped out of high school because there was a lot going on at home. And I ran into some situations that led me to the streets. And from the age of 16 to 18, I stayed on the run from the Milwaukee Police Department for armed robbery and gun possession. And at the age of 18, I was sentenced to 4 years in prison for those crimes. Now, when I was in prison, I wound up going to solitary confinement in the house of correction for fighting. While I was in the solitary confinement for 60 days, I had to come to myself and figure out a way to correct the narrative. And while I was in there, I made a realization to myself that, I've really made a mess out of my life. I've made some terrible decisions. And I knew I needed somebody bigger than myself to help me to make better decisions. And so I'm not pushing my beliefs on anybody, but I have to tell you my story. My story is I cried out to God, and he heard me while I was in my darkest place. And it's amazing how even the most beautiful pictures are developed in what? A dark room. That's my story. I made a decision and I told my mother, I said, you know what, I will never do anything else to put you in a situation where you have to come and see your child as a caged animal. I won't do it again. And she said, you know what, I believe you. And I came home in 2007 and I have not returned back under those circumstances. So, with that being said, I want to encourage anybody that's here, whatever capacity that you're assisting in correcting the narrative, just know that your work is important. Even if you know someone personally that it seems like everybody else has given up on them, I want to encourage you to continue to strive, continue to thrive, continue to correct the narrative. We've been blessed to be able to travel all over this country, sharing the gospel, the good news in a very unorthodox manner. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is in 2022, I was named Best Rap Artist by Shepherd Express newspaper. That was without degrading my community, without degrading women. That was without talking about gun violence. And so I think what I'll do right now while we're waiting is I'll go through one of the songs. It says, come hell or high water, I vow by God to try harder to uphold the name of my Father. Jehovah Rapha replies smarter to sly talkers who can earnestly contend against he whose mind's larger. His ways and thoughts are higher than ours, so why bother? Questions swing swiftly through the air like fly swatters, but the answer Christ is letting it fly. And if wishes and mere hopes were horses, then beggars would ride. It's intense pain to fall, a blessing to rise. The greatest giver, Christ, taught us valuable lessons and ties. In order for seeds to grow, it has to rain and thunder some. You reap what you sow is what I've been teaching the younger ones. No tumbling involved. When you place Christ at number one, then the devil won't be on your heels because he'll be under them. Overcomer of various trials and circumstances, I pray the Father enlightens your understanding. What it boils down to, bad company corrupt good morals. You are who are around you. What you desire, tell what you will amount to. In the hands that crucify you could be the hands that crowned you. Wolves in sheep clothing are chosen like God's chosen. Remain focused on what's spoken. Keep your eyes open. Foreigner in the corruptible kingdom, where cash is king, plots and schemes, prince and queen. Incorrect politically, where the validity of the son of David's divinity seems to be a passing dream. Some think that's extreme, when in actuality, that's for real. Days of living what you speak when downhill, like Jack and Jill, and still with an act to build empire's number one supplier of supernatural thrills with mad mass appeal. Sit back, relax and chill. Relax and chill in this new kingdom being built where the truth will surpass what's frail. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now let's get into some music. Yeah. Now, I want to introduce my guys. These are my brothers, the Next Level Band. Please give it up for them. We have Bruce Furlow on keys. I play this thing, you know. And this is my brother Chris. We call him the animal on drums. Yeah. All right. Are y'all ready to have a good time? Say yeah. Yeah. All right. I think some of y'all gonna know this one. Let's try this one. Michael Kelly, we call him the Glove. Yes, sir. Yep, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Help yourself. Hey, give it up for Shannon. Hey,
Nice. Yeah. Definitely don't want you to stop. Okay, so our first honoree of the night is Eric Fleming, selected by Racine Vocational Ministries. Eric and Jim and Heather, if you want to kind of just be ready, we're going to show a video and then hear from the good people. So thank you.
My name is Eric Fleming. I was incarcerated for 20 years in the Wisconsin prison system. I've been out for 9 years. What I'm proud of is finding myself, realizing that, I made some bad decisions, but I'm not a bad person. I got baptized, and I'm proud of that because I'm able to find, Jesus. And then too, after getting out, I got 3 daughters. When I got locked up, my oldest was 5, my 2 youngest was 4. That was a struggle for me by being incarcerated because I really didn't have any contact with them. When I got out, I was able to reconnect with them. I'm proud of that, and I'm also proud of, I just recently got married in January. We're able to talk about things, and she's my big support system. Another thing I'm proud of that I have a men's group, which is called Fisher of Men. We kind of give back to society, help other brothers that's even being locked up or homeless. I really look forward to doing it, helping people. I struggle with the basics. I didn't know how to use a cell phone. I didn't have no work experience, so I had to try to go and get on a computer and learn different job skills and stuff like that, like fill out an application. It was so overwhelming that I called my agent. I told her that I couldn't do this no more. I was struggling. I was really crying because I didn't know how. I was so institutionalized that I felt like prison was like all I knew. I would say one of the things that was really key to me was finding a support network. I needed that positive instead of the negative. I needed people that have experienced things, you know what I'm saying? Or some people have been locked up and how did they deal with it? I think that really helped me out a lot. What I'm looking forward to is being a better person, being a better husband, a better father. Not only that, a friend of mine told me that, Eric, it's a lot of people that is locked up out here mentally, they're locked up. And be able to just talk to them, let them know that you can get past that. By people seeing my story and to let them know that no matter what you're going through, how you feeling, there's always somebody that you can talk to. You can't isolate yourself. Isolating yourself, to me, it's like a red flag. You have to get out and be moving and try to help other people and, matter of fact, and help yourself. I'm a person, I'm a human being. And letting people know that, this person, made a mistake or whatever like that, or he did something wrong, but that doesn't define him. It's meant a lot to me. Heather, Jim, Lori, they've been there since day one, since I got out of prison. I remember I didn't even have shoes or clothes. They get donations and stuff like that, and it's about helping people. And at first I kind of felt reluctant because your pride and everything like that, but they let me know that, it's okay to ask for help. I'm the person I am today because of them. I got less than a year left on parole. They got my back and I got their back. So that's how I look at it.
We're proud to be here today to acknowledge all the wonderful things that Erica does since he's been out. He is taking responsibility to be a person who can help mentor people who are coming out. Eric has made this and negotiated this path, and this is just such a pleasure and an honor to recognize him today for all the work that he has done. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you, guys. Wow, I don't even know what to say. It's just, man, watching that video, it's kind of man, make you put things back in perspective, how short life is. But I'd like to thank the people that came out, and I'd like to thank Shannon Ross and everybody that, sponsored this. And I want to thank, my wife, my daughter, my granddaughter, my daughter friend. I just want to thank everybody and stuff like that. You know, never give up. Just because you made a mistake, if you look in the Bible, you see that. Look at Paul. You know, Paul, killed Christians, but he found Jesus. He found God. So when everything that you look at, you might look at it like no hope, but it's hope. So thank you all. God bless y'all. Good night.
We should give it up one more time for that young man.
Thank you very much, Eric. So before I introduce the next honoree, I want to talk about the pendants. I don't think folks had a chance to see them, and I got some more program booklets. If you haven't had a chance to see a program, let me know. I'll get you the digital copy has the picture of the pendant. I don't think the current one has it. But the pendants are always crafted based on the story of the honoree, what their name means, and their actual story that we've kind of taken from working with them over the past couple months. And so Eric's is 2 fists, and it's 1 fist breaking off another fist, and in the course of doing that, the chains on his arms are getting broken off while he's breaking the chains off of somebody else's arms, because that represents the work that Eric does in his life. And I want to highlight also I don't even know what they're called, Tony, but these wonderful things that they're sitting on this is about the 3rd year I think we've had these, and they're crafted by Tony Feedy, who I always have to give a shout out to Patty because she is the assist in all these things, and she'll not let me not hear anything about it if I don't say it. She made the connection. But yeah, they have crafted these handmade wooden pieces, and they're just really beautiful. Fresh cedar, as John Tate said yesterday when he was smelling it on stage. So, or whatever the fresh wood. It was a very fresh wood. So probably not cedar. I don't know wood, clearly. But yeah, it's just a great, I think, part of the story, the custom pendant for each honoree. And the other thing that's interesting about it is those were made and literally done about 2 hours ago. They were supposed to be done. We had it for months set up, and something happened yesterday morning, and I had to scramble and find a place locally that would do it, and they just gifted them to us. Didn't even charge us because I just felt it was great. So it's not an easy thing. So yeah, thank you for all of that, however that happened. And next we're going to go to our wonderful honoree, Rachel Watako, selected by the Odyssey Beyond Bars.
Come on, Rachel!
Rachel Watako. I work for UW-Madison. I'm the program coordinator for Odyssey Beyond Bars. I was incarcerated for 13 years, and I have been out just under 2.5 years now. So what I'm most proud of that I accomplished is while I was incarcerated, I found myself and started healing, and that led to developing better self-worth, and later I was able to earn my Associate of Liberal Arts and my Associate of Science before I released. After I was released, I would say that journey continued. It's a constant journey and self-talk. But then at about 10 months out, I got hired at UW-Madison as the program coordinator for Odyssey Beyond Bars, which is a program that takes higher education classes into the prison system. Just my determination to continue growing and being a part of change for other people, I think would be my biggest driving force. My kids, obviously, my grandkids, but just that things need to change. There's so many things that need to change. I think that as time continues to go, I'm a little more comfortable with telling pieces of my story. And I think that if that can open the eyes of one person, because that's what happened for me, is somebody was telling their story and then I realized, okay, maybe I do need to dig into this a little more. So if I can be that for somebody else, I look forward to that opportunity. I have always been fully content being in the background and being in shadows. I think it's huge because I think that adds validation to the importance of telling our stories. Ooh, correcting the narrative means correcting people's views and stigmas and their biases and our own. I mean, viewing people as people instead of somebody's incarcerated and somebody hasn't been. Oh, Odyssey Beyond Bars means a lot to me because, for one, the work that they do is obvious. They're bringing the higher education, and that creates that correction of thinking of oneself. The people that I work with actually value what I bring to the table. They care about my input, and they gave me a chance. I mean, they hired me 10 months out, and I've been in that position ever since. And so it means the world to me. I mean, Peter has created space, as well as everybody else on the team, for vulnerability. He's been vulnerable, as has everybody else, and made it safe for me too also.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Moreno. I direct the Prison Education Initiative and Odyssey Beyond Bars at UW-Madison, and I'm very proud to be here with my friend and colleague, Rachel Hurtado. Rachel started working with us about 2 years ago and now leads our reentry support efforts. She earned two college degrees while incarcerated. And she serves as a model and inspiration for our students in prison. She also teaches our staff who lack lived experience what it's like to be incarcerated and what it's like to leave prison and come home. Her background helps ground our program in reality and make it better. But Rachel's experience is not her greatest asset. Rachel is one of the kindest, hardest working, and most positive people I know. She works days, nights, weekends, whatever it takes to get our students what they need to be successful in the classroom and when they come home. She listens when people need someone to listen. And when she responds human to human so our students feel understood and respected. Rachel's lived through a lifetime of adversity in the last 15 years, but she hasn't lost her smile. The office is always brighter when Rachel is around. People are happier. And it's not just because she brings us O&H Kringles from the city. Although that helps. It's because Rachel sees light in the people around her. And she's made it her mission in life to help others recognize that light in themselves. Let's give it up for Rachel.
I'm shorter than Peter. So as a lot of you out here know, this is very out of my element to be up on this stage talking. I had it all written out and I decided to leave it over there and just wing it. So first of all, I need to give credit to my higher power, Jesus Christ, because without him, I could be standing here right now and doing any of the work that I'm doing. When I think back for the past, staying in the theme of this event, there's two people that stand out to me during my incarceration that really were pivoting points for me, and one is Tamara. She walked through the trauma program with me through dark times and realizations and things coming up, and that was a huge point of time for me. And the other one is Miss Perez. And Ms. Perez worked for DOC. She was in the computer lab at REEC, and she would not let me just sink back into the cracks where I wanted to be and where I was fully content being. She kept pushing and pushing until she got my paperwork in to get into the Second Chance Pell Program through MATC, where I earned the 2 associate degrees. Then I think of the present, and I think of my family, my fiance, My son, he was 1 when I got incarcerated, and I was gone for 13 years of his life. And came home to a 15-year-old, and it's been interesting. He moved in with me about 10 months after my release permanently. So we've had a lot of patience and trials working through building our relationship, because he was only 1. So he never had that with me. And then I think of the possibilities. And in this work, Peter, Bryn, Taylor, I don't know if she made it, Bunche, Jen, Christine, everybody that I work with, it's just inspiring. It's an endless opportunity to expand and grow and just get our arms around as many of these people coming home that we can and make it successful for them. And that's what I want to do every day. Thank you.
I like music, so I'm going to introduce our next musical act, Ethan Keller. Please come on up.
Hey, everybody. Hey. How about I get a picture of everybody? Everybody say Gouda. Gouda. Gouda, baby. Gouda, baby. Wow. Okay, that's a bright light. That picture ain't gonna come out very good. So I'll just take a couple of minutes to say something. My name is Ethan Keller. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I grew up in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. I was born in Menominee Falls, born at home. My mom was a priest, and my dad was a nun. Wait, I got that wrong. My dad was a priest, and my mom was a nun. So I came from an interesting place. Usually there's a rim shot after I tell that joke, you know. So people think I'm either like the savior of the world or Satan's spawn. But anyways, my journey of faith is a little bit different than what I wanted to talk about. My journey of incarceration was much less than some other people who were convicted of the same crime as me. And I got set up and sold some ganja to an undercover cop. And I lived right next to the park and across the street from the junior high school. So there was a penalty enhancement on my charge. And in Waukesha County, the mandatory thing that they do in Waukesha County is the DA is supposed to charge you. They're supposed to recommend the maximum sentence, you know. So I had a penalty enhancement because I lived across the street from the park and next to the school. And the plea deal they gave me was to knock off the penalty enhancement. So I was facing 3 years in prison. And the penalty enhancement was 5 years more. So I walked into court as an 18-year-old facing 8 years. But they knocked off 5 because I pled guilty, threw myself on the mercy of the court. It sentenced me to 90 days. I spent 30 days in work release jail. And I got out to play my gigs on the weekends. So, like I said, I did not serve as much time as some people did for the same crime. And I did not suffer some of the after effects. I didn't suffer housing discrimination much. I didn't suffer job discrimination much. I wasn't totally looked down upon because it wasn't such a stain on my record, but for some other people who don't look like me, it's a much worse stain on their record. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, right? So for me, part of correcting the narrative is just being thankful that I'm here, being thankful for what I have, for the gigs that I get to play, the travel that I get to do. Not everybody gets to play, not everybody gets to travel. And one last thing, this is a great event, and I'm very honored to be here, and the vibe that we caught with the musicians and everybody here. We just had a moment earlier where we had a good jam. So I appreciate everything, all the artists here, and all the love in this room. Thanks a lot. So I'm gonna play a song called Keep On Lovin'. You might have heard this song on Radio Milwaukee. You can clap along, but the machine does most of the work, I promise. I knew you'd fall in love with the coastline of California. I won't say I told you so, but definitely tried to warn you. The sundresses and sunglasses, her feet strapped in sandals. You're so beautiful, it's too much for me to handle. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready to keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving me. Keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving you. Hey honey, don't you wanna take another road trip to California? And why is it so hot sometimes? So just let the sunshine warm you. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready to keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving me. Keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving you. Someday we'll have silver hair and live somewhere in Carolina. Well, my only regret in life is that it took so long to find you. So keep on loving, keep on loving. Get to keep on loving, loving. Keep on loving me. Keep on loving. Keep on loving. Keep on loving, loving you. Ooh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Got to keep on keeping on. Love, 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 lovey, love, love, love. Wow. Got to keep on loving, keep on loving. Love, 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 love. And my backup singer saying, I got to keep on loving, keep on loving, sing it, keep on loving, loving me. You got to keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving you. Keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving me. Keep on loving, keep on loving, keep on loving, loving you. Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, you guys. Welcome back to the stage, Mr. Shannon Ross.
I don't think you're this tall, man. No, you don't want to hear that. I wish I could. So, our next honoree, before I get to that, actually, let me pause 1 second. I just caught myself. I want to shout out and give opportunity to the artists to stand up and recognize them from the installation we had earlier. There were a couple things I didn't talk about earlier when I was explaining some of the symbolism. And there are two pieces in particular that have been crafted here that folks might have walked past that I don't think they understood maybe some of it as well. Like I said, it's just a lot of things, and maybe kind of going through that, some of those elements might get lost in the process. There's one that's a wood piece that was actually created by an artist, woodsman, I guess. It's like a mix there of what the title would be. But Christian made a piece that is supposed to signify when you press the buttons like a video game. It shows that if you're having $1 spent on education, you're saving like $6 on social costs in other areas, right? So each one is specifically showing the impact that in the present you can have by the decisions that we're making, by the votes that we're taking, by the things that we're purchasing, so forth, the conversations that we're having and how we're having them. So that piece was research, and it was, like, again, 3 weeks, I think he made the whole piece. So it's a really remarkable project. The other one is, if you saw that steel sculpture, that steel sculpture is talking to the power of a person who's out trying to work theirself free, right? Trying to literally have a job and do everything, and the whole time the sword of Damocles is over you, right? So as you're working your way getting off of paper, I don't know what's happening with the lights, I'm not doing anything, but I think it's another great commentary on like how that is. And the first time I spoke to David about like, this is the space he's not even familiar with, he just came up with that, right? So I was like, that was just a wonderful way of packaging what we deal with. Then at the end of it is just 100 formerly incarcerated success stories. That's how it leaves, right? It leaves with like the hope, the possibilities, what's happening all around us that we may not be aware of. Many of those folks are in this room in Wisconsin. So that was kind of the whole extent of the project. And so I want to give a time here to have all the artists stand up, Heather and Tawana and David, if you're here still, and I think Katie was here, Sim. So the lights are still very low. I don't know if people can be seen standing, but if you are okay standing up, I want to give you kind of a round of applause, if that's okay for everybody. Thank you again. Now, our next honoree, we have a pair, Natalie Hayden and Laverne Badger, selected by the Sojourner Family Peace Center. Thank you.
My name is Laverne Badger.
My name is Natalie Hayden.
Justice for me is accountability, and that doesn't always happen.
I really wish that society understood that crime survivors have, they have a chance, they deserve a chance to be heard and seen, to be less judged.
It's a process, right? That a journey that you have to go through as a survivor of any type of crime, right? Just be empathetic to what they're going through. I don't know, it's always weird to say that somebody's honoring us for something that we passionately do, right? And then it's weird that we're being honored because of something we went through, right?
Yeah.
But however, on the flip side of that is that by telling our story and saying what we had gone through, that's one person or people that can say that I can get through it as well. We believe that people can change and they can be reformed with work. Our lane is domestic abuse. We do believe that people who have in the past abused can do the work and move forward. I think everyone has the ability to be forgiven for something. Now, that doesn't mean that I can have to personally accept you or accept you in my space, we be friends or anything like that. But I think that if somebody is willing to do the work, are willing to do the work and take accountability, like I said earlier, justice is accountability. If somebody is trying to take accountability for what they've done, then part of justice has been served.
Yeah.
It's every family, every community, every economic status, every background, gender, it does not matter. Unfortunately, people are being exposed and victimized in this space. So we salute and appreciate you being able to do that and spread the word.
Yes,
so.
Thank you. For one, correcting the narrative was an inside job before we can then go out into the world and the many spaces that we exist in. I think of that in just so many ways where, not only are we more than a podcast, but that's where that change came from. The more than a podcast piece, we started out initially saying, let's just have a conversation and change the idea about talking about things that people are not talking about. That was the first thought of change. And then there were many thoughts that continued in that changing narrative, and hence we are here today where all we think about is how can we change our thoughts about that? How can we change this environment? How can we change this? And not really thinking about, sometimes the great impact that it might have. But it's just one thought we want to see within ourselves, within our generations, our family, and we just run with it.
Even verbiage, right? Like words. So words matter. So survivor, it means something. Victim, survivor. We change the narrative by answering to thriver. Changes the word itself, changes what people may think of us.
When we're getting mic'd up for the news and when they say, how would you like us to address you? We do not want to be addressed as victims or survivors. We're beyond that point in our journey, and it's okay for someone that is in that state to say, man, they must have been there for them to be here.
Thriverhood for us is standing in our truth of what happened to us, right? We have to acknowledge and own it and embrace it and then do the healing pieces, right? Of course, victim and survivor are almost like we got, that kind of thing. As more of a pity, but here's my experiences, don't pity me, hold your head up high, this is what happened to us, and we figure out how to move forward. And not just us moving forward as an individual, but who else are we bringing along with us?
Sojourner has been not only, impactful in my life, but we're talking about generations because we talk about generational trauma and generational domestic violence. So we're talking back years where Sojourner has touched aunts, mothers, grandmothers, daughters, and alike. And we're looking to make sure that this next generation won't need Sojourner. That's their goal. They don't want to be needed in the next generation.
Sojourner Family Peace Center means evolution. It has evolved into something. And like Natalie said, there's generations of unfortunately, there's generations that have had to utilize those services, but they're available. So it's a blessing in the same breath, right?
I brought Miss Dolly up. I'm Carmen with Sojourner Family Peace Center, and when Shannon asked me to nominate two people that were examples of thriving, I couldn't think, the first two names that came to my mind were Natalie and Laverne, and they come together for me. So you'll see in the pennant, it's a heart with a yin and yang, because you represent togetherness, I think. The road can be long for healing, and what I've admired about Natalie and Laverne is that they're making the world a better place for younger people. It's not enough that we just help people heal, that we heal ourselves. We got to help the next generation from falling into the path that we fell into. I ask God every day, what can I do? Help me see this differently, God. And I can't think of two people that have greater purpose. So I sit on one end of the building. The other end was Miss Dolly, who was running our shelter for 36 years. So when Natalie talks about generations, it's Miss Dolly that they're talking about, who loved and helped and healed women, kids, and men who needed a place to be. So I thought it would be appropriate for her to say a few words. Miss Dolly?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so honored, so happy, and so honored to be standing here with these two wonderful, wonderful human beings. And I am so proud of them. They are like my children, my nieces, my relatives, because I've known them for so many years, and I've watched them grow. And they have grown by leaps and bounds. And that's what makes me so proud of them, because they are not stopping at their own journeys, but continuing the journey. They did everything they could possibly do to get themselves ready, to get out of shelter living, shelter life, and to make a new life for themselves in this community. And their work continue. It's all out there in the community, what they're trying to do. Help the young ones. Help the young ones, because they are our future, right? They are our future and have to carry on. And Natalie and Laverne are doing great work in the schools with our young ones by teaching them nonviolent behaviors and so forth. They have a curriculum called No More Mean Girls, and that's the truth. I've seen them work that curriculum before, No More Mean Girls. And it means a lot for me to be here and to help to honor them. In terms of the narrative, well, they are doing that, carrying on the narrative in the community, but each one of you seated out here this evening can also continue to carry out the narrative by the language that we use every day to each other, to our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our brothers. Language has a lot, it means a lot, and we have to be careful what we say to people and just be kind. Yes. We just need to be kind to each other. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to say this is bigger. Oh, Miss Dolly. So I sort of just want to start off by saying, I want to give honor to God, because when you're in something so tragic, you really can't see your way. And when you get in that space where it's just you and him and he has your ear, he tells you all things work together. He wastes nothing. And then I met my yin to yang while I was in the shelter at Sojourner Family Peace Center. One conversation and we never stopped talking. And it's thanks to Miss Dolly, Carmen, for believing and seeing us. So, thank you. Thank you for seeing us. Changing the narrative. That's something that Laverne and I, we wanted and we desire. That's our everyday mission and vision, that no one really sees us. They don't see us, but they see what's before us. They see our vision, our mission, and that we are here to enlighten our young people. If we can prevent someone from going through what we went through by being in an unhealthy relationship far too long that had lasting effects, if we can prevent that, we've served our purpose, we've served our mission.
Well, I want to start off by saying thank you to Shannon, but definitely thank you to Miss Dolly and the Sojourner family and Carmen and everybody. I got a couple years on Natalie, just a couple. But Miss Dolly, when I think I was probably 22 years old, I'm 50 something. And Miss Dolly was there when I had my 4 kids in the shelter 20 plus years ago. And the center has evolved and transitioned into this powerhouse of resources over the years. I was in denial in regards to what I had gone through. I felt like, okay, once I got out of it, I was good. You know, you get a job, you start working, you do some of the things, and like nobody else has to know. If you weren't there during that time, then you don't need to know what went on with me. But there was this overwhelming calling that I couldn't no longer ignore, right? Like, I think when the work that we do and others do in this lane it's beyond what our thought is, because who would want to work all the hours that we work? Who would want to subject themselves to that? Who would want to put some of the things, my family, on the back burner sometimes? Like I had to sacrifice my family. If my husband is in here, shout out, I love you. But if to that sacrifice some of that time, but then you're like, it's worth it. It's worth it, because I remember that some of the things that people put, there were some seeds that was planted into me that over the years that encouraged me when people didn't even know that's what it was. It was just some kind words. It was some words of inspiration. It was support, saying that I didn't deserve it when, you know, and no one as young as me. So being able to give back. And I had nobody, I was a teenager going through this. So I want everybody to think about that for a second. I was 15, 16 years old going through this. So no one on TV looked like me, no one in the shelters were as young as me in my early 20s. So I really thought that I was alone. But Expose, the podcast, when we decided that we wanted to do this, it was about being able to expose the things that would hurt us in regards to how we feel like we're doing this by ourselves, that we're in this by ourselves when we're not. We also then realized that, well, Natalie told me that we had to do a podcast. I just want y'all to know that it was, because I was like, no, I don't want to talk to people about this. But now we talk to kids, like Ms. Dolly said. Expose, the podcast, is now evolved into education on a different level. And so we're so proud of that, because we believe that if we are telling our story, but not only telling our story, but some of the lessons learned as young women and women, that's going to make the change. That's going to change the narrative in regards to how our children do relationships, right? And not only girls. We understand that boys are victims, males are victims as well. But also we understand that boys need that mentorship as well. We can't teach and talk to boys on how to be men. So again, the expansion of partnership and collaboration. I can go on and on about this because I absolutely adore it, but I just want to, in closing, just say that I appreciate my friend. I've known Natalie as long as we've been in business together. And this is one of my best friends. She always says we're in a relationship together. We are. It's a marriage. Ain't nobody going nowhere. It's till death do us part. Till death do us part. But again, thank you guys for recognizing the work that we do. And we receive this on our behalf, but also on the behalf of those who are all doing the work. Because our community and our kids need it.
It is my absolute privilege to introduce the next honoree, who I've had the opportunity to see grow personally for many years. And they are being nominated by an organization who I've known since their inception, who is the true epitome of the word hope, and it's in their name. So our next honoree, Hope Through Restoration's Rob Davis.
My name is Rob Davis. I was incarcerated for 2 years, and I got out July 18th, 23. The most important thing that I'm proud of is restoring my relationship with my Creator. One of the things that I really struggled with was people pleasing. When I was caught in the grip of my addiction, I did a lot of things that I necessarily wouldn't do. You know, coming out of prison, a 3-time felon, a lot of times it's hard to look at the positive, you know, moving forward. And I think I struggle with being optimistic as well. Today, I look forward to having a bright future, restoring my faith, you know, restoring my family, my finances. The Lord is restoring things in my life and opening doors. The opportunity to contribute, to get involved, to repair relationships and to build new ones. I was really praying to be out for my daughter's graduation. You know, I got released 8 months early. I qualified for the ERP program. And by the grace of God, I was able to go to her graduation today. Today, I really try to focus on being grateful, you know, all the time. Not just when I'm achieving something or getting something, but even if I get hurt, if I get into a car accident, if something negative happens, my mindset is trying to thank God all the time, in all situations. Seeing other people that have been caught in the grip of addiction, that have been to prison and have come out and rebounded and really made a change, you know, and are having a huge impact today. It's a blessing. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. 11 months ago, I was in a prison cell, you know, and didn't have a way home. I lost my home in foreclosure. I lost a 6-figure job, you know, a handful of times. I came out with a cardboard box. For me, correcting the narrative is being held accountable. I have to take full responsibility for my actions, you know. I went to prison. I paid my debt to society. And I think people make bad choices and poor decisions. And I'm a prime example of that. But that doesn't define who I am. Hope Through Restoration, to me, means hope. I had a son before I was incarcerated, and I only seen him 3 times. I believe God brought me to the HTR house and placed me about 1.5 miles away from my 3-year-old. One of the visions that we have at HTR is not just restoring our own personal health or finances, but restoring our families, you know, restoring our neighborhoods and communities where we wreak havoc and create a lot of damage.
name is LT. I'm the Executive Director of Hope Through Restoration. And I kind of, when I was told about the corrected narrative honoring, I thought of Rob because he's been such a blessing for Hope Through Restoration. The thing about Rob, we opened our house in January of 2023, and he came 7 months later, and he's been such a blessing. He came with some challenges because he like he said, he was a people pleaser, so he would try to help. He came trying to help everyone else when he had some issues of his own. And so I'd have to tell him, hey, Rob, slow down, slow down. And he just wouldn't stop, you know, and even today he still has that same issue. He slowed down a little bit, but it's hard to stop him, and he has such a passion for helping others. And so he's been such a blessing. So he now works for HTR, and we're honored to have him. And so I just wanted to, I just had to come up and just say something because I wanted to let him know how much we appreciate you and so proud of you.
I'm on the board of HTR. LT and I have been friends for a long time, and it was his vision to start HTR House. And it's been a blessing because restoration, as you know, really comes when God gets a hold of you and starts restoring you as an individual. And to see that in somebody is an amazing thing. As many of the other recipients have said, that restoration begins in sometimes the darkest moments, but what you see out of that is an amazing restoration of not only the person, but what that person, how God created that person to be, the talents that God has given that person. And to see that become real in life is the real reward and the real value. And what LT has been doing and what Rob has responded to, and he's always had the heart for it, I think, and it's just been great to see him embrace all the talents God given him and now using it in a way that not only where he is going to be successful, but and success not in finance necessarily, but in life and in what he's doing and really being the man that God made him to be, and then getting restored with his family and his children, and that restores the neighborhood and the community. So that's what we talked about. So congratulations, Rob. We love you, man, and thanks.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you, God, for giving me a second chance. Thank you to Shannon and Adam. Thank you to HTR. Thank you to Partners in Hope. Thank you to KEM Ministries. I'm very grateful to be where I'm at today because things could have turned out much differently. The fellowship that I belong to, there's a few things that stand out, and one of the things that means a lot to me is it's not where we were that counts, but it's where we're going to. So today I've got hope, and today I'm able to hopefully have an impact and help and mentor and impact the lives of others. Thank you.
So we have one more performance, and we have one more honoree. So our final performance is by Andre Lamar, the Black country singer. That is not my moniker, that's his actual name. Just being clear.
How you guys doing? Yeah, every day on this side is a good day. I learned that. Yeah. Well, let me tell a little bit of my story real quick. So, I feel compelled to tell my story a little bit and my journey and how I became the Black country singer. So, I grew up on 9th and Burleigh, 53206. I'm sure you guys heard of the zip code before. And I went to Harambe, which was right on 1st and Burleigh. I went to Mesmer, which was on 7th and Capitol. So I had a pretty good educational background, and I still went the wrong way. So at the time, at 19, I was sentenced to 5 years of probation. And in my 4th year of probation, that's what I learned what a 5-year stayed sentence meant. So, fortunately, I was under the old law, which means that you have a mandatory release date. So 5 years is not like truth and sentence in 5 years, thank God. So I was actually released early after doing 26 months. And that was 4 years, so I went when I was 24 years old. And while I was in prison, I actually was going through Dodge Correctional. I had never had any introduction to country music prior to that. So, needless to say, it was different for me, and there were some sounds that I didn't really hear before in music that I was used to listening to, such as the electric guitar and things of that nature. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sick of this music right now. It was every day, every guard played the same type of music every day. And as I was sitting there, I'm like, my dog won't come when I call, and so it was literally in that moment that it clicked for me, though. And I finished writing those lyrics that I was initially playing around with. And my cellmate at the time, I sang the song for him, and he loved it. And then I sang the song when I got to the barracks. I sang the song for, some other people. My cellmate he was a white guy. So I said, let me go to these black guys, see if they like it. And, fortunately, everybody loved what I was doing. And I believe in manifestation. And I believe that your path is your path. You don't choose it, it chooses you. And in that moment, I remember telling everybody, because I had started going to school when I was on the street for business administration, and this one teacher said, hey, you should go for marketing. And I'll never forget that. His name was Paul Walenta. And he interrupted the class and told me, you should go for marketing. So while I was in prison, I'm lying to everybody, well, I was manifesting to everybody, saying that I had a marketing degree. So I was released in, yeah, that's my phone, yeah. Had to be the guy, right?
It says drink water.
Yeah. So, I was manifesting to everyone saying that I had a marketing degree. No one believed me, but I believed me. So I was released in 2008. I was 28 at the time. Well, I was 27 at the time I was released. And over the few years, I went to school for marketing, and I received my degree in 2013. Thank you. So what led me to marketing was the fact that I knew that I would need that on this path of music and on this path of country music especially. So fast forward, I'm 44 today. And, well, not today. Today I'm 44. And while I was actually incarcerated, I had the copyrights to 28 songs that I wrote. Yeah. Thank you very much. And this song that I'm going to do for you is called Gone Fishing. I actually wrote this while I was incarcerated. How many of you guys like to go fishing? Okay. My father was an avid fisherman. He lived up north Wisconsin near Shawano Lake. And he loved, this was actually his favorite song, my mother's favorite song. A lot of people enjoy this song, so I hope you enjoy it. Hope y'all enjoy the story. I've never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. I pack up all of my bait, then I make plans for 7:45. Then I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. For some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. I come home early with a couple of fish that she can claim. She turned and looked at me, her pretty little face, it looked so mean. It's like she knew I'd been cheating all damn weekend. But something's fishy, I guess she's been fishing. I guess she's been fishing. For some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, on the guitar, we got young Kyle on the guitar. Sounds so sweet. Said it hurts when you know that somebody cast their pole in your favorite fishing hole. Hey. Said it hurts when you know that somebody cast their pole in your favorite fishing hole. Said it hurts when you know that somebody cast their pole in your favorite fishing hole. It hurts when you know that somebody cast their pole in your favorite fishing hole. For some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When you're gone fishing. When you're gone fishing. You're gone fishing. You're gone fishing. Appreciate you.
Okay. It's definitely the end of the night for them. So, okay, we have one more honoree. Our last honoree, we've never done this, we have a legacy honoree. Jerome is not an unrecognized success story. He's a very well-known in our work success story. Jerome Dillard. Jerome Dillard. Yes, I was going to get to that. It was a lead-up. First name. So when I was incarcerated, Jerome was somebody that I connected with and talked to when I was in prison still. And so a lot of the stuff you see me doing is in part because of paths that have been created by Jerome, right? Things that he has allowed for someone, any of us doing this work now, to do. So when you see some of us doing this work now, it's not without that. So we're gonna honor this last honoree, Jerome Dillard, and the person, not the organization, the individual that will be honoring him and speaking is Judge Everett Mitchell.
Hello, my name is Jerome Dillard. I served 2 years in Illinois, my first bump into incarceration, 5 years in the federal prison system, and I was sentenced to 5 years here in the state of Wisconsin. I was released in the state of Wisconsin in 1996, so I'm going on 30 years here. One thing I'm proud of accomplishing, and that is my mom seeing me turn my life around. For her to see me get married and become a homeowner, stabilized and working in employment, I think that's an accomplishment that's priceless for me because her knowing that I will be all right. She passed 5 years ago. Some of her last words, "I'm so proud of you, son." I've been a part of this reentry work for a little over 20 years now. After being released, employment was a real issue. The only job I could find was being a dishwasher at a restaurant. Actually, it was a bar. But I knew that I had been called to a humbling place. And that means that it would be gradual steps for me. I segued into the reentry work. First, I had a living wage job. That was life-changing for me. I worked at the UW Medical Foundation, which is the billing office for UW doctors. It was a living wage in '97. They were paying me $20 an hour back then. And I had benefits and vacation, things that I had never experienced before in my life. And I met a woman who's my current wife. We've been married for 26 years now. And I was doing that volunteering for Madison Urban Ministry, which is Just Dane today. I started their reentry programs there. At the time, 2004, there wasn't a lot going on around reentry. And Truth in Sentencing had just kicked in. And we started doing returning prison simulations, which with individuals who could walk in the shoes of someone who was returning to the community. Under them, Voices Beyond Bars was formed. I felt that we needed a space for ourselves and let our voices be heard. Pretty much unheard of in 2004. But that's how my career started, volunteering, using my vacation days, my sick time, and to volunteer to go out and do work, to go back inside prisons, which was it was unheard of that someone in my statute who had a year left on paper was being able to go back into the prisons and do restorative justice. I believe I brought a message of hope, a message that there's a community out here who cares and love you. And I see many of them today. Like I come to the picnic here in Milwaukee, and there's so many who I met 20 years ago inside, and they've walked up to me and thanked me for planting that seed of hope for them. I hear it often, so that gives me pride in what I did and the work that I've done over the years. We started Expo, meeting together with individuals from around the state who were formerly incarcerated. And I had the idea that, wow, this is powerful. We need a statewide organization for us, by us. Something that changed my life inside was this old man, Jimmy. Jimmy was a lifer. And we would play chess and we would sit at the table and he challenged me. Jimmy challenged me to make a list of those who I used with, who I hustled with, who was in that underworld lifestyle. But he pulled out a red pen and he said, I want you to put a red dot by anyone you use or you hustle with and this and that. And I took it to heart and I did it. And Jimmy held it up in the light and said, Brother Dillard, these people can't be an option when you get back. He'd say, not that you will be better than them, but to stay out of that lifestyle, you're gonna have to eliminate these people out of your life. Being in Madison, Wisconsin, where I didn't know anyone, was a great start for me. So my struggle wasn't that much. It was just me staying away from them spots, those people, places, and things, because I was an addict. You know, I was a hustler and I was an addict. First thing I did was I needed to find a good church. And it was a brother working at Attic in the halfway house that I was in, who, you know, come get me up in the middle of the night, me and him sit down and chop it up. And he took me to a great ministry that really supported me, held me accountable, but also modeled something for me. I look forward to individuals in the state of Wisconsin getting their voting rights once they leave a facility. I look forward to individuals not being judged by probably the worst day of their life, but being judged on their character and conscience that they have today, who they are today. Things are shifting, but this process of change has been so stagnated and slow, and I'm looking for that to change. To me, correcting the narrative means eliminating that narrative that we're bad people, we deserve to be in prison. You live the life that you were created to live. We all have greatness in us, we do. And we have to realize that, not bringing that awareness is my key objective in what I'm doing today.
I think I just finished graduate school at Princeton and I had just moved to Madison in 2004. The recidivism rate at that time was around 70%, 75%, and was thrown on my desk as I had a part-time job in Madison Area Urban Ministry from Mary Kay Baum, and she said, Everett, I need you to create a restorative justice program. And I said, Mary Kay, I've never been to prison. She said, I want you to create a program that will support men and women coming out and be successful. And I need you to figure out how to make it work. I need you to figure out the logistics of making it work for those men and women coming out of prison. Well, the first thing I realized, I said, well, I had just learned this quote, do not follow the path that has been given. Instead, go to where there is no path and leave a trail. And so I said to myself, I said, the first thing I need to do is get a staff together because we had no money. I think the grant that we won was like $38,000. So, and I don't know what it was back then, but that was still broke. And out of that, I was supposed to hire 2 people to help me do this program. And my first hire was Jerome Dillard. Jerome Dillard. My second hire was Barbara McKinney, and I remember we were in the basement of S.S. Morris Church trying to come up with a plan. And it was Jerome that started telling me his story. He started telling me all the elements of his life. The same things you heard here was the same thing Jerome told me about 20 years ago. And as we were sitting down at the table, I said, I'm going to, and he doesn't know this, but I based everything that I created off of his story. He said he he needed a place to live. I said, we need to make sure we have a residence. He said, I struggle with a job. I said, we need to make sure people have employment. He said, I struggle with addiction. I said, people need to have treatment. He said, they needed to have support in this world, like faith communities and other. I said, then that means we need to have support. And we came up with this acronym called REST, Residence, Employment, Support, and Treatment. Later, we called it Education and Transportation, with the other elements we added, because we said, if people are going to be successful, he told me, he said, Everett, it's too late sometimes by the time they come out. I said, well, that makes a whole lot of sense, Jerome. So then I fought to go inside the prisons. And I said, I'm gonna send you, Jerome, inside these prisons, because they're not keeping my black butt up in there. I'm just not going. But he said to me, he said, no, we all need to go. And we started at Oak Hill, and we would go to Oak Hill, and then I would go to Oak Hill, and we would start these pre-opportunities, and he would be there in his element of teaching these young men about what they should be doing 6 months before they got out, how to prepare themselves. And I'm like, he's in this rhythm. And then I said, let's go to the women, and then we went to Techeetah, and I was in there trying to show the women of Techeetah, and then one woman came up and she sniffed me. Have you ever been sniffed by a woman? I mean, just... And I was like, really? She's like, oh, yes. So I never went back to Techeetah again. I sent somebody else there. I found it more dangerous there than it was at Oak Hill. But this man, I realized that it had been a while. But we were sitting in the office one day, and we had all of our clients who were coming through, and Jerome said, man, these kids, they keep fighting, man. It's like they keep fighting and nobody is there to keep fighting with them. And so he challenged me, said, what are we gonna do, Everett? I picked up an LSAT book, and I started studying the LSAT, and that's when I went to law school. And I was still the coordinator while I was in law school, because my goal was to finish law school, come back to mom, and sue the hell out of everybody. That's why I didn't even want no money. I said, just let me go sue everybody. Will you let me sue them? And lo and behold, obviously my life changed. I became a prosecutor. After prosecutor, I went to UW, did UW-Madison, helped the Odyssey Project, and South Madison built that up, and then was elected to become a judge in 2016. All of that started in a small basement of Villager Mall at 2300 South Park Street, Madison, Wisconsin, when we were in that room together with a vision of how we can make this. So Jerome, I came all this way to let you know how much I love you, how much I have appreciated you. You have made a difference. I'm 47 years old, and I'm grateful for the 20 years that God put me in your life to be able to not only learn from you, to be inspired by you, to be encouraged by you, and to, in many ways, be in your shadow. And your shadow is bigger than you realize, because not only are you important to those who have been incarcerated, you're important to young men who never had a father, but who was grateful that God put me in your life so that I could at least be with someone who was patient and loving enough to make me continue to dream dreams that I never knew I could ever dream. So I love you, man.
Wow. Took me down memory lane. First and foremost, I want to give honor to God for the tremendous favor He's given me and the tremendous people who I've been able to encounter over the years, inside and outside of prisons. And I want to give a shout out to my wife, who bared with me in those middle of the night calls that I got, you know, to come out and check on somebody or somebody's about to go to jail. She was so patient over these years and still is. And I want to thank you, baby. Yeah. Everett brought up rest. It's something that I still reflect on today. Residence, employment, support, treatment, transportation, education. It still stands true today. But really, I'm reflecting on something. I had the privilege of meeting Michelle Alexander in 2011. And as we talked, something Michelle said to me that still resonates today, and that is, as we were talking, she knew about Voices Beyond Bars, and we went on, and she said that it is movement time for those of you who have been impacted by the criminal legal system. Do you know how many people that this, what you're seeing here, how it's affecting individuals across this country? I want to take time today. I'm not going to stay here long. I just want to say it is movement time. And here in the state of Wisconsin, I have to say that those of us who are formerly incarcerated or justice-involved people, we have to come together. No more silos. No more not speaking to each other. That has to stop. Some of the best and brightest people I ever met have been inside prisons. That's the truth. Come on, y'all. It's our time. There's a movement going on across this country, and it's time for us to get on board, to share, work with, understand, and continue to be messengers of hope. That's what I try to do every time I go inside a prison, be a messenger of hope. There's greatness in all of us. We just have to tap into it. Thank you all.
All right. I have a couple house cleaning things before you head out. Don't leave. Do not leave. Real brief. I do want to say, personally, this has been the smallest audience we've had of any of our 4 annual celebrations, just like peek behind the curtain reality. But this has been like the best event I think we've had. It's just been really intimate, great music, good food. So I thank all y'all for coming. This has been really cool. A long day.
Give it up for Shannon.
But before you leave, one last thing I want to do. There were 2 people, I think, today in the last couple months who've been particularly important for this event. If not for them, it would not have happened, especially as well. That is Jen Vega and Adam Procell. I want to thank you both greatly. Yeah, from the bottom of my heart, back of my heart, the top of my heart, both of you, thank you so much. Wouldn't have happened, honestly. With that, I'll let you all get to New Kids on the Block and Green Day. They're playing tonight. It's National Waffle Day, so what better way to celebrate National Waffle Day than talk about how we've been waffling on the justice system for so long. So, good night, everybody.